So Letizia, you're a trance medium and you're channeling Munjiji.
Yes.
Now, for somebody who doesn't know anything about this, I would just like to have a few terms explained.
Yeah.
What is a trance medium?
Yeah. A trance medium, sometimes also called a channeler, is someone that is able to transfer, let's say, a number of information that come from intelligences that are from the invisible world, the non-tangible world, into a tangible, audible manner. So a trance medium or a channeler is a conduit. So it's a kind of bridge, an in-between, a person that is in between, we can say two different worlds, but really we can say different wavelengths. So that's enter in the field of the area of what is called also altered state of consciousness. So a person that is a channeler or a trance medium require that possibility to attune quite naturally and to be in control of those different wavelengths. There is a difference between trance and channeling. Usually the trance is considered a deeper level of what is experienced from those intelligences. So the trance medium often will have more of the personality of the intelligence that is speaking through. And so there may be changes of voice, changes of intonation and a way of using the language, or even change of language. The channeler usually retain the sound of the voice, their mannerism, but they convey that input of energy from the invisible, they can convey through their speech. So that's a difference.
There's a difference, but you're both. You're a trance medium channeling Munjiji.
It is, yes. It can be done, in fact, because there are like different voltages, different wavelengths in the length of the what is called the altered state of consciousness. Depends on the level that your unique vehicle, that is your personality, your mechanism, how you also train yourself, and how it's also a gift. So how you are naturally gifted in a way, if you're going to operate in a more intuitive level, into a level of a channeler, or into a level of a trance. Trance particularly, that's why I like that word, has a very ancient quality of being linked to what is called sacred gathering. So with it also, it brings a whole kind of world energetically of presence and understanding that is slightly different from the channeler. That's for me at least.
Channeling Munjiji.
Yes.
How did he reveal himself?
Mm-hmm. I was working in an hospice and I was attending to a patient that was in coma. And my type of work would be to assist them in these instances. The person was the coma was very agitated, to relax them. And the way I was doing that was to guide them through a very peaceful journey. That it is because people in coma can still hear you, and especially the sound of the voice can be quite soothing, can assist them. And in fact, the person quite quickly became fairly tranquil, which was a very loving result. And as I was attending to them and I finished my work, I suddenly felt to be surrounded by a number of presences. And I was quite surprised. It was a busy ward. There were people, nurses running right and left and center, lots of people. You know, it was a very busy place. And yet there was this incredible peaceful feeling behind me of very still and very powerful presences. So I decided to pay attention to that. As I was already have done my journey of inwardness for my patient, of course I was in the best position to be attentive to that. So I pay more attention to those presences, and I felt that physically they were pulling my sleeves and saying, please pay attention to us. So I did, and I asked what they wanted, and they said, well, we know that you have worked with many people in different ways. I worked as a psychotherapist for a great number of years. I work with bereaved people as well, and now I was working with the dying, or working or assisting, really being present with them. And they said, please, will you come back to work for us? We have work to do together. Would you do that? And I said, yes. And then I said, how do you want me to work? That is an internal conversation I'm having while there are people milling around. And they said, please go back into the work of trance. This is something I have not done for a number of years, and I thought was done and dusted. And I said, yes, all right, I'll start this again. So that's how it all started again.
So you're talking about voices that you heard,
Yeah,
quite distinctive from your own.
yeah.
How did you know his name was Munjiji?
I didn't know at the time. So I heard, first of all, as I am quite attentive to my inner world, so I can tell as I'm thinking if this is my thoughts, or if suddenly there is an inception, like there is something that come into my inner space of thinking that does not belong to me. That because I'm used to meditate, so I'm used to hold attention for myself, quite sustained level. So I could tell that suddenly there is a piece of information that was reaching my brain and my mind that was not coming from me, but it was kind of external, so-called, but of course it was received internally. I didn't hear with my ears this, but it was potent enough to get my attention, because my stream of consciousness was to be with the patient. That's where I was, and to be peaceful with them at that point as I finished my guided relaxation. So indeed, it's not it's received, it's not that I'm hearing it from outside, but it was a distinct body of information which I had no relation to it before. So that's I could recognize, and also the feeling sense of presence standing behind me, that was quite distinct and very strong. So I wasn't given a name at that time. That came later when I decided to practice again and re-enter the trance state.
So at what stage did Munjiji, as Munjiji, reveal himself to you?
Yes. Yes, well, as I was given this particular task from the spirit world, which I had accepted, to re-enter and explore the state of trance, I then decided to re-explore the state, which I had not given attention for a number of years, and I asked my husband to just witness what was taking place as I was taking myself, what I call, down into the trance state. And it was in that instance then, when I brought myself down into the state of the trance, that I could feel, because of course there are different levels of trance, and in my particular case, I'm very clear that I don't want to completely disappear. So there is a part of my mind that is very tranquil, very peaceful, but is present. And as I'm holding my still mind, I could feel the stepping into my consciousness of distinctive sense of a different personality approaching. So it's what some people call into your auric space, you feel the presence of another auric space. So let's say a presence that you feel distinctively approaching, and is a distinct personality. I could feel that. And then as a trance medium or any channeler, you will kind of really make yourself passive enough to receive either the imprint of just sensing a personality. Often you just sense a presence, you may not have any words, but in this instance, because perhaps I had done this work quite a lot in past, there was also a flow of words that had nothing to do with my thinking. In fact, I was as curious as probably my husband was there in listening what's being said while I'm actually present. So it's a very specific, and that's what when the intelligence that spoke said, we are here to do some work together. And when Richard, my husband, asked what is your name, they said, well, actually, we are not really interested in names particularly, but we'll give you a name, Munjiji, which is a vibrational name, and so they can relate to you on a vibrational level, and to those ones that will come and need the work that we have to offer. So it was really in that instance, but I did felt a very distinctive personality, and they also told me how in the way that they're inputting also the kind of entry point also they have in relation to the planet as they do work in that manner as well. So I could feel this distinctive personality, and they mentioned that they had definitely strong relation to Mongolia and China and Russia. So there was those lands that have an influence on some aspect of what is called the personality that is called Munjiji.
So the way I understand it, it's actually Munjiji and his team.
Yeah.
Why did they choose you?
Right. I think possibly they chose me because they knew I could do the job. So it's like almost, okay, this is a suited person. She can roll on quickly. So they probably have been chosen for that. But then there is another level. Usually channelers or trance medium, although they may not remember, they have a pre-incarnation agreement. So as a soul level, there are a group of souls that comes together and work together in the interlife, what I call before incarnations, in between incarnations, and there is an agreement that there will be a certain transference of energies and communication on which a person will be on a physical presence on planet Earth, and other people will stay behind inputting what is required for that time and what can be given. And so that agreement is being done at that level. But if we look from the place of where we are, we say they probably so well, she can do the job, let's go, let's try. And I said yes, I could have said no as well.